Hi, welcome to the September weather trend forecast. The first month of the meteorological autumn, of course, and after what was a very high pressure dominated summer, things have now changed markedly. Low pressure is back, as the animation here shows. It runs from 18 GMT, Monday the 5th. At the outset, it's centred to the west of the UK, and there are showers, downpours and longer outbreaks of rain pushing northwards. With winds coming from the southwest, though, it is quite mild or even warm, especially in central and eastern Britain. In the short term, not a great deal changes. There could be some thundery downpours in much of the UK, longer spells of rain. But then, as we go through the second half of the week, the area of low pressure begins to push away eastwards into continental Europe. It's all eyes on what happens in the Atlantic, though, at this point. We've got ex-hurricanes and tropical storms at this time of the year, which start to make their way towards the UK. And computer models really do struggle with how they interact with the jet stream in the North Atlantic and other areas of low pressure. Therefore, forecast confidence quickly falls. In this case, we've got what will become ex-hurricane Danielle out to our west, and some of the model runs have been bringing that straight towards the UK. Others are holding it further back in the Atlantic, as this update from the GFS does, at least for a time, because eventually the low pressure area as it becomes makes its way eastwards, outbreaks of rain push across the UK, and it turns unsettled once again. The animation here finishes Wednesday the 14th of September, and at this point there are indications of high pressure building in the Atlantic and rather cool and showery conditions pushing southwards across the UK. This is based on the GFS operational run, and I have taken a look at how it fits into the ensembles, and it is at this point one of the much cooler scenarios. It's in a minority, so I'll come back to the possibilities a little bit later for the middle part of the month. Taking the temperatures from that GFS sequence, just a couple of charts here to illustrate things. Tuesday the 6th of September, forecast maximums, 24 Celsius there in East Anglia, low 20s in much of eastern and northeastern Britain. Still pleasantly warm really in sunny spells, but with all the cloud and showers around, reaching these temperatures is going to be a little bit uncertain. It just depends on how much sunshine there really is. Going forwards to Saturday the 10th, a little cooler by now, but all in all still not too bad. The highest values there probably in southern England. It's also relatively warm there across the Republic of Ireland. All in all, though, as I say, reasonable for this time of the year. But once more, it's all down to whether it's going to be cloudy or sunny, dry or wet. Forwards to Tuesday the 13th, not a great deal has changed. Still the highest values in eastern Britain. A little bit cooler overall, but as I say, just a little. Looking at the MOGREPS temperature chart for London, this is the Met Office Ensemble. Initially, maximums pushing up towards the mid-20s there. They are dipping a little bit as we go forwards, but all in all, quite consistent. The low 20s there being maintained. Just towards the end, the 12th, 13th of September on the right-hand extreme of the chart, there is a bigger spread developing, highlighting reducing confidence in the likely outcome at that point. The overnight minimums also worth noting because they're quite high, fairly muggy, I would expect, on many nights through the coming week, at least with that southwesterly flow continuing to be in place. The York mean surface level pressure chart, again generated from MOGREPS, indicates a dip in the pressure as that area of low pressure in the Atlantic gradually begins to move eastwards. Then there's a big spread later on, a wide range of solutions as we go into the middle third of September. At the bottom end around 995 millibars, and at the top there's one run going just a little over 1020. As I say, there really is a lot of uncertainty in the forecast at this time of year because of the influence of the ex-hurricanes and tropical storms. The wind gusts are also an increasing consideration, of course, as we go through the autumn months. MOGREPS chart here for London, suggesting quite windy or breezy conditions, at least on a number of days, 20, 30 miles an hour gusts towards the very end there. The 12th, 13th of September, one or two of the runs are going for stronger winds, maybe pushing up towards 40 miles an hour in the southern Britain, but they are in a minority still at this point. But definitely, of course, as we head through September and into October, it becomes an increasing consideration. A very important factor, though, in the short term is rainfall. After what was an extremely dry summer, especially in southern Britain, there is a need for a good deal of rain to fall through the autumn months. And there are signs now, as I say, with low pressure becoming more dominant, that at least some of the shortfall will start to be made up. The charts here are for days 0 to 10, so they go out to Thursday the 15th of September. ECM on the left, GFS on the right. They both show the accumulated precipitation within that 10-day time period. It looks significantly wetter in southern and eastern Britain than it has done for quite a long time. Totals there between 30 and 60 or 70 millimetres in the south and the east, wetter in the northwest. I think there is uncertainty, of course, as I keep saying, but the general theme with low pressure being more influential would support the idea of higher rainfall totals. These could well be quite close to the mark. A significant change, though, of course, if they are correct. Well, that covers the first third of September. It really takes us a little bit beyond it, but just to focus now on the second third of the month. Here's the 16-day GEFS ensemble plot for London. Air mass temperatures across the top, the thick purple line, the ensemble mean, the thick black line, the 30-year average. The gap between them narrows. There is a trend there for temperatures to be dipping back towards the average. Most of the runs are really supporting that idea, reasonably likely to be the case. I think at least the ensemble mean is representative of what most of the runs are showing. Rainfall across the bottom, some big spikes really there, so backing the idea of significant amounts of rain being possible at least. Towards the end, the number of spikes decreases, therefore it could be turning more settled once more, at least in the south. Just while I'm on this chart, the thick green line, the GFS operational run, dips well below the thick black line from around the 17th of September. As I suggested in the when I was running the animation at the beginning of the presentation, the GFS operational was one of the coolest runs in the ensemble towards the end. So around that period as we go towards the middle part of September and a little bit beyond it. Here are the 2-metre temperature forecasts from all of the individual runs in the GEFS for London. So the data table, not too bad at all. There is something of a cooling trend there showing up, but the oranges, which become dominant, are forecasting maximums of 16 to 20 Celsius. This orange shading is 21 to 25 Celsius, so there's a lot of it to begin with. The amount of it then reduces later on. As I say, temperatures are likely to be dipping, but not too bad overall. Going up to Glasgow, back to the 16-day air mass and rainfall plot from the GEFS. Once again, the air temperature profile is similar, dipping back towards the average. I think the number of rain spikes there is quite a lot greater than on the London plot, and they are bigger in general, so it's wetter. Also, less sign of it turning drier towards the end. There's still quite a number of spikes showing up by around the 20th, the 21st of the month. The 2-metre data table, temperature data table for Glasgow, values generally lower than they were on the London one. All in all, though, not bad for this time of the year. The yellow shading being dominant, so 11 to 15 Celsius maximums, but also quite a lot of the orange there, although it is reduced in those of the 16s to 20s. And I would say, in general terms, quite close to the average here, maybe a little bit above it early on, then a little below it towards the end, because there is that downwards trend there in 2-meter temperatures. What about the last third of the month? At this range, it's about trying to identify the general direction of travel. Will it be warmer or cooler than the norm, wetter or drier? Here is the 35-day GEFS plot for London, showing forecast air mass temperatures. The signal is for them to be above the average, the thick purple line, staying above the thick black line, which is the 30-year norm through the entire period, really. Up to Glasgow to see the view in the northwest. Things are more mixed here. The thick purple line, the Ensemble mean, is a little bit below the thick black line for a time. It then edges above it later on. Temperatures at the 850 HPA level at least, close to or slightly above the average in the southeast, closer or perhaps a little bit below it in the northwest. The pressure plot for London, generated using all the runs in the Ensemble and the mean, points towards an upwards trend. Earlier in the month, low pressure having a lot of say in things, but the Ensemble mean there climbs and it's staying at relatively high levels towards the end of September. It wouldn't really be suggesting a very unsettled pattern if it's correct. The weekly pressure anomaly charts, these are generated by averaging out all of the individual runs through the week as a whole, are showing a fairly neutral pattern, a slightly positive anomaly over the UK, nothing out of the ordinary. Going forwards to the following week, so this begins the 25th of September, once more a fairly weak positive anomaly across all areas. It doesn't look particularly unsettled if this is representative of the outcome as we head through the last third of the month. The air mass temperature anomaly charts, so stepping back to the week beginning with Sunday the 18th, reds over the UK are indicating a weak positive, slightly above that 30-year average, just 1 or 2 Celsius. Going forwards to the week beginning the 25th, a similar story, perhaps just somewhat cooler in the west there, but it's important really not to read too much into these other than the broad brush trends which they show, and in this case it's for above average 850 HPA temperatures through the last third of the month. So to summarise, it's an often unsettled start with showers or longer outbreaks of rain, but there could be some drier periods around as well. A lot really depends on how low pressure areas in the Atlantic interact with the jet stream and how quickly they move eastwards towards the UK. Temperatures often close to or above the average, very dependent on sunshine levels, but the possibility of some warm days, at least in central and eastern counties. The second half of the month, confidence is always very low at this range. It's particularly low at this time of the year because of the impact of ex-hurricanes, which forecasting models have difficulty handling. But the signal is for there to be wet spells, perhaps overall slightly drier than average, especially in the south where high pressure may become more influential once again later on. Temperatures close to or above the average, perhaps somewhat cooler in the northwest of the UK, but really not particularly cool even there, probably very close to the norm. If high pressure has more influence again, there is a chance at least of some of the nights turning quite chilly, perhaps foggy as well. So there we have it. Quite a mixed month, probably much closer to the norm than August and July were when we had the high pressure dominating and periods of extreme heat. Significant rain for all parts of the UK in September, perhaps high pressure becoming more influential again, especially in the south later on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then as ever, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. Thank you for watching now. Bye.